read a story about a program called City Year that had been just founded in Boston. It was being described as a model for potentially national service programs. It really struck me from the get-go, wow, what a neat idea, a program that engages young adults working in teams on meaningful service projects that make a difference. My parents had grown up during the Depression, and they talked about programs like the Civilian Conservation Corps, that put people to work in the midst of the Depression. And still today, you can go to national parks and see some of the work that the men of the CCC had built. I met Kathleen Kennedy Townsend at a mutual friend's wedding, so I talked with her because I knew she was involved in student service learning projects at the time for the Maryland Department of Education. And so I went up to her and I said, hey, you know, I've got this idea of setting up a youth corps in Maryland and Baltimore.
And I said, great, that's terrific, what a wonderful idea. Come and work in my offices, because I have offices that are focused on getting young people involved in service, and I think that's a fabulous idea, and I'd love to come help you and work with you and make sure that we have that opportunity for young people in Baltimore.
Went part-time with my old law firm and then part-time with her to set up a task force of people who might be interested in setting up a youth corps in Baltimore.
We talked a lot about what the name should be. We thought, obviously, the young people were going to do work, and there should be some sort of sense of community or civic engagement.
It became Civic Works, applied for a startup grant, and we got a startup grant, and that allowed us to get going, recruit our first class, which started in February of 1993, and we opened our doors and, you know, haven't looked back.
In the early days of Civic Works, when Dana Stein was getting things together, he not only needed to have funding to start the Corps, but he needed to have a physical place, a headquarters where the young Corps members could meet, have some orientation and training and projects. And Clifton Mansion has given us all of that. We have been making improvements to the building ever since.
We did all the pre-construction, and it was kind of cool how it happened. I had just recently started my company the year before. They asked me to come back, said, hey, we're getting started on the mansion. Do you guys, want to put a bid in? I was like, of course. So we got the full first portion of that project. I'm really proud to be a part of that project, because when I was a part of the community lots team, I would always walk around this mansion like, oh man, I can't wait till they restore it, not thinking that one day I'd be restoring it.
And now it's being fixed up, redecorated, and a proud symbol of what Baltimore was, which was really the philanthropic capital of the United States.
All of our projects in the beginning were kind of hands-on service projects, again, a lot of housing work where we were helping out with a low-income housing developer or some landscaping work. One of the things I'll always remember was that back in the fall of 1994, I think it was early November, there were a couple tornadoes actually which hit Baltimore, and our Corps members came to me and they really thought it was important, given Civic Works' mission, to go out and help those folks who had been affected by the tornado. Bill Clinton, when he got elected, he made the idea of engaging young people in national service through what became AmeriCorps, one of his signature initiatives.
We were invited to the launch on the White House lawn of AmeriCorps, so there were corps from around the country. After a long delay on a very warm spring day, the President was able to greet all of the hundreds of young folks from around the country who were in the first realm of AmeriCorps membership. We did have some opportunities to get involved in house rehabilitation, where some other nonprofit may have taken ownership of a house and began the repair and rehabilitation phase, and we were able to come in as an apprentice workforce, able to contribute to certain demolition steps or framing steps of the house in renewal.
We're talking with the housing department about what types of projects could be useful. The housing commissioner at that point said, there are so many vacant lots in Baltimore. With the decline of Baltimore's population, you've had abandoned housing, some of which is demolished, leaving vacant lots. And if they're not tended to, they can become community eyesores.
We could be involved in cleaning and preparing and then installing landscapes.
We do a lot of training in the emerging green sector, including solar, brownfield remediation, weatherization, stormwater management, energy efficient roofing. We have the largest nonprofit farm. It's called Real Food Farm. We've got a couple other farms as well. We started building tiny houses. It's a great experience to have our core members build a house from scratch. And also tiny houses are potentially one part of the need for affordable housing.
We also got involved in educational efforts.
Civic Works has started operating a Baltimore City High School in 2008. So we found that there were significant barriers to employment for a number of our young people. Bus passes, gaining IDs, those sort of things, and helping navigate to some of those basic things so that our young adults wouldn't have to navigate those issues. The support of the Baltimore City Public School System and our friends here in the Coldstream, Homestead, Montebello community, they will be opening a new school facility in 2020.
I think it's very exciting what's going on in Baltimore. We're reviving the city, and part of it is what is going on at Civic Works. Because the whole idea comes from Socrates. We get to know one another best, not from talking with each other across the table, by working shoulder to shoulder on common projects.